This footage was originally posted by TikTok user Alex Salas. While spending time inside a vacant movie theater in Tapachula, Mexico, Alex and a friend suddenly began picking up strange sounds coming from somewhere within the auditorium. Not knowing whether someone had stayed behind after the room was cleared out, Alex hit record and began methodically checking the seat rows, exit doors, and shadowy corners. The space seemed completely empty at first, but then an unsettling sound cut through the silence.
Está grandísima, como pueden ver, está grandísima la sala. Grandísima. Muy grande. Y dicen que este es el rincón donde se escuchan los lamentos. Acá, en esta puerta, donde nadie puede entrar. Acá, esta es la pantalla del cine.
A soft noise, almost like someone weeping, can be heard drifting from somewhere in the auditorium. Alex sweeps his camera across the rows of seats and finds nobody there. As the unexplained sobbing persists, he turns his attention toward the rear of the theater and spots something up in the projection booth overhead.
¿Escucharon? Se ve distinto. Desde acá, desde este punto, hay alguien ahí arriba. Si logran verse una persona observándonos desde hacia arriba, pero no le hagan caso.
Initially, the activity seemed like it had a reasonable explanation. The thick vegetation around the campsite offered plenty of cover for animals passing through. But as the same sounds persisted from the same general direction, that explanation started to feel insufficient. Whatever was moving sounded heavy, something with real size forcing its way through the undergrowth. And yet nothing revealed itself. There was only sound coming from somewhere just beyond what...
¿Escucharon? ¿Escucharon? Se ve distinto. Desde acá, desde este punto, hay alguien ahí arriba. Si logran verse una persona observándonos desde hacia arriba, pero...
It's possible the crying was carrying over from a neighboring auditorium, and the looming figure may well have been a staff member or a piece of equipment inside the booth. But if that theater was genuinely empty, something was sobbing among those unoccupied seats, and something else was peering down at them from behind that window. Joe Herrera is a paranormal investigator who on this particular occasion chose to explore a house that had sat abandoned for years, a property so unsettling that countless people had refused to set foot inside. According to local accounts, a mysterious figure known as La Bruja Blanca had occupied the home for a long period before being driven out by a curse. There are also claims that a demonic presence haunts the upper level, bringing harm to anyone bold enough to enter. Despite all of this, Joe pressed forward with the investigation. The moment they arrived, something immediately caught their eye. Hanging from a tree near the property were several branches arranged in a way that resembled amulets, some even appearing to take the shape of inverted crosses. Shortly after, the group noticed something else unsettling, a faint, ghostly haze drifting through the surrounding area. Moving further in, they came across a small toy house and decided to get closer. That's when the atmosphere began to shift. That's when it happened.
Vean eso, intrusos. Es como una casita de juguete, pero ya está abandonada. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué fue? ¿Qué fue?
Tocaron la puerta.
¿Cuál?
La de la casita.
¿Neta?
Sí.
Sí, escuché.
Ahorita que me acerqué,
Sí.
tocaron la puerta.
Esto.
Cuidado porque está lleno de telarañas y son de viudas negras.
While standing near that toy house, they picked up what sounded unmistakably like knocking on a door. For the group, that was all the confirmation they needed. They were not alone out there. From that point, the tension kept building, and then came another deeply disturbing moment.
Si te molesta que estemos aquí, danos una señal. Ay, la madre. ¡Madre, güey! ¡No mames!
Se abrió la puerta.
¡Hala!
During an attempt to make contact, a door on the far side of the property swung open on its own, with nobody near it. The reaction was instant. As far as they were concerned, this proved beyond doubt that something was present in that place. After spending some time outside, the decision was made to head in. The sense among the group was that whatever was inside had already been expecting them, and what unfolded next only made that feeling stronger.
La puerta, la puerta. Se abrió, ¿verdad?
Se acaba de abrir.
Sí, se abrió.
Como si nos invitara a entrar.
The moment they stepped up to the entrance, the door swung open by itself, completely untouched. Most people would have turned around and never looked back, but they went in anyway. Once they reached the kitchen, something unexpected pulled their attention. The situation was about to get considerably stranger.
Se siente como tétrico todo.
Sí, sí se siente tétrico más por este lado.
Sí.
¿Quién? Oigo. Escuché una vibración acá.
Se siente como pasos.
Sí. Se ríe. Uy.
A small cabinet door shut on its own. The whole thing caught clearly on camera. The investigators turned toward it, even pulling the cabinet open to find a few objects sitting inside, though they chose not to disturb them. As the camera continued scanning the room, something else was picked up, and you'll want to pay close attention to what comes next.
Extraña y aterradora presencia que fue captada en la oscuridad por nuestra.
When the camera swings toward the bathroom, something deeply bizarre becomes visible through the shower glass. The shape appears to have an oversized head and eyes that are entirely black. Whatever it was, it bore no resemblance to anything ordinary. At that point, the team was convinced they had documented something genuinely unexplainable. Up on the third floor, widely regarded as the most frightening part of the house, they discovered symbols carved directly into the wood. It was in that very space that the investigation reached its most overwhelming moments, with the most disturbing still ahead.
Digo, el speedbox que no. ¿Estás aquí? ¿Hay alguien entre nosotros?
Mira.
¡Oh, la madre! Te dije.
Se movió la
Sí.
cama. Está la virgencita y encontraste los sigilos.
¿Hay alguien aquí? ¡Ay, güey! ¡Se abrió ya! ¡Se abrió ya!
Sí.
Sí.
Mira.
Hay algo arriba, dijo. ¿Eres un demonio? ¡Puta madre, güey!
Inside that room, the sensation of being completely surrounded, watched from every angle, was overwhelming. In the recorded footage, an eerie reflection surfaces in the glass, a dark, shadowy form bearing features that resemble a wolf. That was enough. The investigators called it a night and brought the session to a close, feeling they had already pushed things further than they should have. So, what is truly lurking inside that house? It remains unknown. This unsettling clip comes from a man who says he spotted something out of the ordinary lurking in his backyard in the dead of night. From across the property, he could make out what looked like a figure in white standing in a dimly lit corner of his yard. Uneasy but compelled to investigate, he pulled out his phone and hit record. What showed up on that footage seconds later left him genuinely shaken. The camera pans slowly across the darkened yard, and at first there's nothing to see. But within a few seconds, a long-haired woman dressed head to toe in white comes into frame, motionless in the shadows. The dead silence of the night only adds to how deeply unsettling the whole thing feels. The shock of what he's seen gets to him immediately, and you can watch his grip falter as the camera starts to shake in his hands. Then, just moments after the mysterious figure appears on screen, the video abruptly ends. No warning, no explanation. Paranormal investigator Steve Cutter recently uploaded footage from a joint investigation with Broken Wings Paranormal, conducted at the Ritz Theater in Two-Wheel, Utah. The venue originally opened its doors back in 1939, and over the decades, visitors and staff alike have reported an unsettling presence within its walls. Steve believes that during this particular visit, his team may have documented something nobody on the crew can fully account for.
Just as we begin our portal session, you can clearly see we are all in the room. LaDawn is sitting in the back of the theater. Watch the doorway on the right side in the back of the theater. You will see an apparition walk towards the bathrooms, and then just a few seconds later you see the same apparition walk back. This cannot be a person, because as you can see in this still, a person has full features even in the back of the theater. Amazingly enough, this was captured on both of the DVR cameras.
There, in one of the theater's back corridors, a shadowy figure seems to shift back and forth despite the hallway being apparently empty. But that moment in the corridor is far from the only thing that raised eyebrows that evening. Later on, team member Erica has a deeply uncomfortable experience while inside the projection room.
I've told the best boy.
Who's the best?
Oh my God, something just stroked my god ear.
Without any visible cause, Erica's hair suddenly shifts as though an unseen hand has just swept across it from behind. Nobody around her makes contact, yet her reaction alone is enough to put the entire group on edge. Following that incident, the investigators gather together in the main auditorium and begin attempting to make contact with whatever presence might still inhabit the space. While the session is underway, a stationary camera quietly captures something unexpected among the seats.
You want to tell me your name? Suzanne. I feel things starting to come into the theater, almost like a show is about to start and there's stuff like starting to shuffle into the theater. It might be residual, but it feels like there's stuff starting to come down the aisles and fill into the seats. Especially on this side.
A second unidentified shape appears to drift slowly down the aisle in the direction of the investigators before gradually vanishing from the frame. With two distinct figures recorded on camera and Erica's unexplained encounter in the projection room, the team is left asking themselves what else could be wandering the halls of the Ritz Theater long after. A man named Aaron got some deeply troubling news from officers at his door. His downstairs neighbor had been missing for weeks. The rotten stench he'd been noticing for a while, combined with a cloud of flies hovering near the neighbor's window, had finally found its explanation. A decomposing body had been discovered inside the unit below. Police confirmed that his neighbor had died alone in his own home. Given that Aaron was living directly above him, the revelation shook him to his core. The idea that someone had passed away right underneath his feet was enough to rob him of sleep. But on one particular night, it wasn't just his thoughts that disturbed him. At 3:40 in the morning, Aaron is jolted awake by the sound of creaking coming from his staircase. Then, without warning, something stirs in the bathroom. The tap switches on all by itself. He works up the nerve to walk toward the bathroom, and what he finds only makes things worse. The toilet lid had shifted out of place, the bowl was full of water, and there was absolutely nobody in the room. A foul odor was also hanging in the air. The strange activity showed no signs of letting up. Something new seemed to happen every single night. He was constantly being confronted with fresh disturbances. One night, he was jolted awake by the sound of a cat crying out, and what he recorded next was genuinely chilling. On another occasion, lights began switching on and off on their own, almost as if something was desperately trying to get his attention. Here's what his camera caught.
Here we go again. Lights. Lights. Oh. See? Let's do it again. I'm not gonna run.
Then one day, Aaron was hanging out at home with a group of friends.
Nah, dude. Something like that, dude, you gotta... I feel like I've seen that before. You gotta... Whenever since I was young, you gotta, like, call it out or something. Like... You just gotta call them, like literally, bro, just like, is anybody here? Is anybody here? It's like... It's been happening. No, you just anybody here, bro?
Together, they reached out to whatever spirit might be present and decided to engage with it further.
I think it was upstairs. Sounded like a big old bang. This has been happening, bro. Ooh, it's dark as fuck up here. Oh, dude, it looks creepy. It looks fucking creepy everywhere. Oh, shit.
Turn off down here.
Go. I don't want to do that.
The light just turned off down here.
Holy fuck.
The light over there just turned off. I'm not even joking. Yeah, I think we should.
Let's just go.
We should just get out of here. The light just turned off down here.
And following all of that, Aaron attempts a ritual cleansing using dragon's blood, sage, and an egg. But things take a dark and unsettling turn almost immediately.
I think that you're real. People actually think that you don't exist, but I want to show them. So show yourself. Don't be scared. Show yourself. Come out.
As he called out into the space, a strange noise cut through the silence.
Okay. Something's definitely showing itself. But it's okay because I got the sage on this. It's barely lit, but it's okay. It's still lit. I'm okay. I'm kind of scared to go around this corner. Oh, shit.
He places the egg at the center of the room, lights the sage, and begins inviting whatever entity is there to make itself known. Visibly on edge and trembling with fear, his gaze locks onto one particular corner of the room. Then comes the moment he cracks the egg open.
Maybe it left out the window or something. Okay, let's go do the egg so I can leave my apartment. Okay, here's the egg. Nothing wrong with the egg, see? It's a regular egg. First off, let me show you my hand. There's nothing on my hand. Nothing. I want to get out of here. Okay, here you go. And again, I don't know why.
A thick, foul-smelling black substance pours out. The overwhelming odor suggests the cleansing had no effect, and that something dark may still be lurking. What's your take on all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. A Reddit user uploaded an eerie and deeply unsettling piece of footage. The clip runs for just a handful of seconds and appears completely unremarkable at first glance, but the caption posted alongside it reframes everything. According to the person who shared it, his sister-in-law was by herself at home that morning, yet a backyard security camera appeared to pick up evidence that she wasn't as alone as everyone thought. See for yourself. In the recording, the woman can be spotted moving through the interior of the home near a window. As she grabs something and steps to the left, a dark shape behind her shifts in the exact same direction, despite the fact that, per the uploader, no one else was supposed to be there. Those looking for a rational explanation tried to write it off as a shadow thrown by the curtains, but on closer inspection, the shape reads as unmistakably human in form. Oddly enough though, it had no distinguishable features to speak of. No visible face, no limbs, presenting itself instead as a dense, swirling mass of darkness, much in the vein of what people typically describe as a shadow figure. While a portion of viewers took this as solid evidence of a paranormal encounter, others floated the theory that the sister-in-law may not have been as alone as she claimed, and that the real answer was far more earthly. Ted and Lisa have spent the past 5 years breathing new life into an abandoned French chateau in Limousin, France, with the aim of restoring this historically significant structure. Built in 1360, the property carries nearly 7 centuries of hidden stories within its walls. The couple has been documenting the entire renovation journey, but at certain points they began noticing strange sounds coming from the chateau's old boot room. Ted brushes it off without a second thought, but Lisa is completely convinced it's a mouse she's named Vince, so she plants a security camera to keep watch through the night, only to capture something far more unexpected. Pay close attention to what unfolds.
There was no mouse last night. There is something else we did catch. I'm going to go and get Ted to come and watch the footage and see what he thinks.
What are we looking at?
Right, so let me start playing. So this is from last night. This is me setting the camera up. So I'll set the camera up so you can see the hole in the corner. Can you see it? I think you can see it. Anyway, I'm off to bed. It's very late. So we'll see whether we catch this mouse out in the morning, and then Ted will have to believe me. There is something running above our bedrooms. I'll see you all in the morning. Good night. Now you heard me put the latch on the door there.
Yeah, it sounded like it, yeah.
Okay, so the sensor light's gone out.
Right.
So I'm going to forward this bit because it's about 2 hours, well, it is 2 hours, 27 minutes into filming last night. Now, we went to bed about midnight,
yeah.
So this would be about 2:30. This happens. Now, you heard the latch go off the door.
Yeah.
And that's the light coming on.
The motion sensor light.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, what? There's shadow there?
Yeah.
Yes, I can see a shadow moving across it.
Yeah. Keep watching.
Oh my God. What? That's got to be an animal or something, isn't it?
That was a big shadow for an animal.
How? You can't.
How can an animal get up?
You can't have put the latch on properly.
I put the latch on because you heard the latch go on.
Yeah.
And you heard the latch come off.
I didn't actually hear the latch come off, but you know.
Right, let me play that again. You hear the latch?
Right, yeah.
The door open. Now to push that door open, that's the heavy door, you've got to push it inwards. So somebody's got to be standing there to be able to open that door.
Yeah.
And there's nobody standing there.
And I've never known that door swing open on its own.
No. And the other thing is, the camera is up on a tripod. So to move it in a tilt, like it's tilted up, something has moved. It hasn't moved the tripod because the tripod would fall over. It's had to move the camera.
Oh, that's... I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's the shadow that got me there. Anything. The shadow walking. I don't care.
That's weird.
Something unseen unlatches and swings open the heavy door. A motion-activated light then switches on without anyone near it, and a shadow appears drifting through the room. even nudging the camera itself in the process. Despite all of this, Lisa remains unfazed and the chateau continues to welcome guests. Across their 5 years living on the property, neither of them has ever sensed anything threatening or malicious.
Years and never had any ill feeling whatsoever.
No, I can't say that there is.
That is,
you know, I don't know whether I believe or not believe. I don't disbelieve, let's put it that way. But it's just kind of freaky, isn't it?
it is a bit.
Hopefully they'll keep sharing updates as the story develops. A viewer who wished to remain anonymous reportedly submitted a chilling dashcam recording to the YouTube channel DS Dark Adventures, capturing footage from a late-night drive through the countryside. The man was making his way down a deserted rural road, miles from any homes or other vehicles, when something in the darkness ahead caught his attention.
This lady do? Excuse me, you need help? What the?
Drawing closer, he could make out the figure of a woman walking alone at that ungodly hour. Then the headlights revealed something deeply wrong. Her body appeared to be soaked in blood. The driver, worried for her safety, eased off the gas, lowered his window, and called out to ask whether she was alright. What happened next stopped him cold. The woman opened her mouth and released a blood-curdling scream. Then he noticed something that made the situation even more horrifying. Where her eyes should have been, there were only hollow, darkened voids. Overcome with fear at what he was witnessing, he floored it and got out of there. He would later report that he contacted the police, but when officers searched the area, they came up empty-handed. So what exactly did this man come across that night? Was there a real person out there in desperate need of rescue? Or did that lonely stretch of road hold something far darker than anyone could explain? What you're about to see comes from the YouTube channel displayed on your screen right now. Curiously, this channel has only ever published one single video. It went up back in 2013 under the straightforward title, Tunnel Strange Creature. Even without any follow-up content or explanation from whoever posted it, this footage has kept circulating across the internet for years, with viewers continuously debating what exactly was filmed that day. Over a decade on, it's still splitting opinion down the middle. A portion of people argue the figure was simply someone else hanging around inside the tunnel, but others can't get past the way it seems to materialize out of nowhere and rush straight toward the group, and they find that far harder to dismiss. Since the person who uploaded it never posted again and left zero context behind, there's almost nothing to go on when trying to piece together what actually took place. So here's the real question. What do you think was waiting for them in that tunnel? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. October 2024. An anonymous individual comes forward with a case involving what appears to be a haunted apartment. For the first several weeks, life there felt completely ordinary, but roughly a month in, the energy inside the unit began to shift, and he quickly sensed that something was off. While streaming on Twitch one evening, he noticed movement in his peripheral vision. When he spun around, he watched in stunned disbelief as his closet door drifted open by itself. But that disturbing moment was just the start. Over the months that followed, he started picking up unexplained scratching sounds, what seemed like footsteps, and eerie disembodied voices. Windows would shut on their own. He knew something strange was going on, but he feared nobody would take him seriously. So he set up multiple cameras around the apartment, concealing them in spots where they wouldn't be disturbed, and those cameras ended up capturing exactly the kind of evidence he'd been after. Late one night, one of his cameras recorded something unusual in the living room. A chair slowly slid away from the desk on its own, as though an invisible hand had pulled it back. Shortly after, the sound of footsteps could be heard traveling through the apartment, followed by the noise of something being shifted around. Then, on a separate night, as he was trying to get some rest, that familiar pattern of knocking returned from somewhere inside the apartment. Feeling like something was about to happen, he grabbed his phone and hit record. What unfolded next made sleeping nearly impossible.
I was literally just on the phone talking to my family about this.
The instant he began recording, 3 heavy knocks rang out through the apartment. Unable to pinpoint where they were coming from, he slowly swept his camera across the room. And as he looked ahead, things took a terrifying turn. His bedroom door began swinging shut on its own. He could hardly process what he was seeing, and even though he knew he was alone, he went to check anyway, only to confirm that nobody was there. And the longer this went on, the more intense things became.
She starts reading aloud about the spirit houses, how they're designed to protect the dead and serve as a passage between two worlds. The second the words leave her mouth, the light blazes once more, as though something unseen had been listening. The timing is far too precise to dismiss. The motion light triggers again. No wind. The camera stays on as the chapel light keeps strobing through the windows. Every flash feels sharper, closer, almost intentional. A faint rustling stirs somewhere out beyond the graves. She holds the steering wheel tight, waiting, ears straining. Hours crawl by.
What you're all about to see is basically a series of clips I took from about 8 hours worth of footage that I filmed overnight using my laptop's external webcam. So the events in the video did not happen in this short of a succession as portrayed in the video. They're basically just a bunch of snips that I combined together instead of showing you 8 hours worth of footage.
When morning finally breaks, the light cuts off immediately, as though whatever purpose it had served was now complete. The cemetery settles into pale gray dawn, quiet and still once more, as if the night never happened. What was supposed to be a fun holiday video became something far more unsettling.
A paranormal investigator had caught wind of a devastating car crash in which a young girl was believed to have been a passenger. Yet, despite thorough search efforts, she was never located. Intrigued by the unanswered questions surrounding the case, he made his way out to the wreckage to see it for himself. What unfolded from that point on was genuinely disturbing. See for yourself what his camera captured. Without warning, a small girl materialized in the seat of the destroyed vehicle, but the moment he stepped forward to get a closer look, she was gone without a trace. Just taking one glance at the state of that wreckage, you already know that walking away from an impact like that would have been... No, the clip originates from a home that, by all accounts, had already begun to feel unsettling long before anyone decided to set up a camera. It was the father-in-law who recorded it, shooting inside his own place at a time when the house was completely empty. No relatives, no guests, just a silent building that had no business generating any kind of noise or movement. The video focuses on a closet that looks completely unremarkable, aside from one detail that becomes very important as things unfold. The doors are fitted with handles only on the exterior, meaning there is absolutely no way to push or pull them open from the inside. Crammed into that closet is a washer and dryer, which together take up nearly the entire space, leaving almost no room for anything to move around freely, let alone with enough force to physically impact the doors themselves. Even before anything visible occurs, there's a sound, a low, scraping, shuffling noise that's difficult to identify, the type of thing you might chalk up to machinery if either appliance had any reason to be running. But nothing in the footage suggests that's the case. Then, the doors begin slamming, not drifting open the way warped hinges sometimes behave, but slamming hard and repeatedly, doors that can only be operated from the outside swinging with a force that has no clear explanation, given the house is empty and the closet interior offers barely enough space to generate that kind of impact. Near the end of the recording, a light begins flickering on and off. The family has stated that this particular light has never functioned, not before this incident and not after, which makes it sudden, brief, and completely unexplained activity during this one moment very difficult to dismiss as a routine electrical glitch finally sorting itself out. This next story comes from a Columbus, Ohio woman named Heba, who posts online under the handle Divine Pisces. Heba is a professional psychic who provides readings to her audience, but her career isn't the reason we're here today. What's brought her to our attention are some genuinely disturbing claims she's been making recently. According to Heba, a shape-shifting entity has been relentlessly haunting the area around her property. She's made numerous attempts to document this creature on film, though her efforts have mostly yielded blurry, inconclusive results. Determined to finally capture something definitive, she set up a high-quality night vision camera pointed directly at her backyard. What it recorded is hard to explain.
Now and then my camera actually captures something. Now y'all saw that, what flew over into the next yard. Now watch what happens next. So the camera detected motion. Here comes two orbs. Now in the beginning of the video, y'all saw what flew over there. Now watch what comes back. When I tell y'all that I am seeing creatures, I am seeing galactic creatures, ETs. Now here it comes. Y'all see it, right? I'm thinking it's a fairy. It's some sort of strange light. Come on now. How, y'all, if that wasn't a shapeshifter, let me know, y'all. Shapeshifters are basically spirits that can, look, here it comes back again. You saw the two orbs. Now watch what happens. And this video has not been edited. Look at that timestamp. It comes back again. How is that possible, man? It's a shapeshift.
Let's walk through this footage piece by piece because there's a lot to unpack. Right at the start of the clip, things seem relatively quiet, aside from two insects flying in a strangely synchronized pattern that already feels a little off. But direct your attention toward the tree line at the back of the frame, and you'll notice a single luminous orb drifting in a deliberate, unusual trajectory. We watch this solitary, glowing point of light pass directly behind a large tree trunk. When it comes out the other side just seconds later, something has changed. There are now two glowing eyes where there was once one, and the figure rapidly takes on the unmistakable silhouette of a deer. And that's not even the strangest part. Keep your eye on the timestamp running in the corner of the frame. The recording is continuous, no cuts, no gaps. Then, just moments afterward, that same entity reappears as a lone glowing orb and goes through the entire transformation all over again. Now, to be fair to the skeptics, plenty of viewers in the comments suggested this was nothing more than a camera artifact or the night vision sensor struggling to calibrate in low light. But you have to stop and consider what we're actually watching. A single orb vanishing behind a tree and reappearing as a fully formed four-legged animal with two distinct glowing eyes. Not once, but twice in succession. That's a difficult thing to brush off, and it lines up almost perfectly with the reported behavior of, in the video that follows, a real estate agent who also runs a TikTok account showcasing properties for sale may have unknowingly filmed something deeply unsettling. He was walking through a newly listed home, recording its various rooms and features the way he always does, when something chilling suddenly showed up in the footage. See for yourself what his camera picked up.
Amplia cocina. Amplia cocina. Dormitorio 1.
As he steps into the kitchen, a small, dark, semi-transparent shape can be spotted darting rapidly across the space before disappearing almost immediately. The man had no idea anything was off at the time and uploaded the clip to his page without a second thought. Shortly after it went live, however, his inbox was flooded with messages from followers urging him to take a closer look at what had been caught in the background. Shaken and visibly rattled, he went back and reviewed the footage himself, maintaining that no one else had been present in that house with him at that point. The strange shape is only visible for the briefest of moments, yet a large number of viewers feel it moves in a way that no ordinary person could. So, where do you stand on this? Was the real estate agent unknowingly filming something from beyond the physical world? Or could there be a more grounded explanation for what appeared on screen? For this next entry, we're turning our attention to another recently declassified UAP clip, this one carrying the designation DAU UAP PR049. Based on the accompanying documentation, the footage dates back to 2026 and originates from the Department of the Army. What makes this particular video stand out is the way it opens. The sensor starts off locked onto what appears to be a standard aircraft passing through the area. Then something else entirely enters the picture. The aircraft is visible near the middle of the screen, while off to the right, a second object abruptly comes into view. Unlike the plane, this thing presents as two intensely bright points of light sitting extremely close to one another. Not long after that, the sensor abandons the aircraft and shifts its focus to the unidentified object instead. For close to 2 full minutes, the camera stays with the object as it travels across the sky. Its strange appearance, combined with the fact that it became the sensor's primary target, is what gives this footage its edge. At no point does it bear any resemblance to the aircraft that originally held the camera's attention. Now, that doesn't automatically mean we're dealing with something out of the ordinary. There's a reasonable chance this is a conventional aircraft or some other object that simply looks odd due to the imaging equipment or the angle it's being viewed from. Even so, it's not hard to understand why this clip has sparked so much conversation in UAP circles. As always, draw your own conclusions. A young woman by the name of Adriana is the subject of our next clip. She's streaming live for her followers, chatting, playing music, just a regular session. Until out of nowhere, things take a very unsettling turn. Pay close attention to what unfolds.
Eso sí es una bruja. Mamá hueva. ¿Estás arrecha, maldita puta? ¿Estás arrecha? ¿Sí? ¿Estás escuchando?
Without warning, a massive thud rings out from directly above her. The impact is heavy and the disturbance keeps going across the roof. She grabs a stick and pounds back at the ceiling in response. The sounds cut out right away, but before long they start up all over again. And when she finally steps outside to investigate, what she encounters sends pure fear running through her.
Salimos, mi gente. Gracias. Salimos. Salimos. Sale.
You can just about make out what appears to be a figure dressed in all black. A dark, sinister face concealed beneath a hood, pressed against the edge of the roof. Adriana believes it may have been some kind of sorcerer and that the initial commotion was caused by something landing on top of her home. She also mentions that a similar incident actually took place once before. So here's the question: who or what was really lurking up on that roof? And what exactly was it after in the dead of night? The person who uploaded this clip describes it as the single most frightening moment he's ever lived through. Late one night, an odd noise outside his home sent him straight to his security camera feed to figure out what was going on, and what he found standing right out front stopped him cold. Take a look at what the footage revealed. A pitch black silhouette is visible in the center of the road, and remarkably, vehicles appear to pass directly through it, as though the figure simply doesn't exist in the physical world. That alone would be enough for most people, but the man then made the decision to head outside and get a closer look, and what unfolded was enough to shake anyone to their core. The instant he stepped out the door, the shadowy form disappeared without a trace, gone in a fraction of a second like it had never been there at all. He says the fear he felt in that moment was overwhelming, and to this day he has absolutely no explanation for what he witnessed. So, was it a spirit, some kind of unknown entity, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts below. A man from Mexico named Antonio runs a business building, selling and renting out cabins in Mazamitla, Jalisco. Late one night, he finds himself working completely alone outside an old vacant cabin when he suddenly spots a strange, flickering light coming through one of the windows. He grabs his phone and starts recording as he moves in to get a closer look, and what he discovers stops him dead in his tracks. Now, keep in mind, Antonio is out there by himself. Nobody should be inside that cabin. But as he stands there watching in horror, he can make out a figure in that pulsing light slowly moving toward the window, as though it's about to peer out at him. And this figure has absolutely no distinguishable features. It looks almost like a dark silhouette, even against the brightness of that flickering glow. Summoning every bit of nerve he has, Antonio steps inside the cabin to see what's going on.
A ver. No, sí me da miedo, espérate. ¿Y dónde me salgué? Ni nadie. No hay nadie.
He's visibly on edge as he moves through each room, but the place is completely deserted. Not a soul anywhere. Now here's something worth mentioning. Antonio typically uses his social media strictly for business purposes, whether he's showcasing properties he's renovated or advertising cabins available for rent. This footage is the one and only paranormal clip he has ever shared. So the question remains, just what exactly was that figure in the window? This one is actually a clip I covered on my channel some years back, but I figured it was worth bringing up again given how much time has passed and the fact that a lot of newer viewers have likely never come across it. The footage was posted to a YouTube channel called Best Horror Videos back in 2015, though based on the video quality alone, it looks like it was probably recorded quite a bit earlier than that. It starts with a group of friends gathered around a campfire close to a derelict house. Things look completely ordinary, right up until one of them spots something moving in the distance. He turns to his friend and asks to borrow a flashlight before heading off to take a closer look.
Frank, bring the flashlight. Vite, bring the flashlight. Fuck, c'est à quoi? C'est où?
Right about at this point, if you pay close attention, you can just barely make out what looks like a head briefly poking out from behind the old building before vanishing just as fast as it appeared. Not quite sure what he's dealing with, the person holding the camera keeps scanning the surrounding area. Then, just a short while later...
It shows now. Oh shit. You. Dans l'eau.
that same mysterious head shows up again, emerging from nearly the identical spot before ducking out of sight once more. Frustratingly, almost nothing is known about where this video actually came from. The location is unclear, and the identities of the people involved remain unknown. All we really have is the footage itself, showing a group near an abandoned structure during what turned into a very strange encounter. You could make the case that somebody was simply crouched behind that building pulling off an elaborate joke. But then again, the raw and seemingly unscripted reactions from everyone there have pushed a lot of people to question whether they genuinely stumbled onto something they couldn't quite make sense of. Either way, it's one of those early internet videos that has never really faded from people's memories. So what's your take on what was lurking behind that old house? A prankster having a laugh, or something that doesn't have such a simple explanation? Our next clip comes from a security camera inside a small store in Yemen. The footage was eventually posted to Instagram and has since exploded in popularity online. At the beginning of the video, the shop owner can be seen by himself, late into the night. Then, out of nowhere, a woman suddenly enters the store. What unfolds from that point on is genuinely disturbing. See for yourself what the camera recorded. The owner later recalled that the woman's face was absolutely horrifying. Her skin appeared pale and ashen, and she started asking him unsettling questions, such as, "Who has died?" and "Why are you listening to the current?" The man was utterly shaken by her presence. A number of people in the comment section picked up on something even more disturbing. They pointed out that the woman's legs appeared abnormal. Rather than feet, she seemed to have hooves resembling those of a goat. Others noted that her eyes appeared to be entirely black. Many have come to believe that she may not have been human at all. This clip was recorded by a baby monitor camera inside a children's bedroom, sometime after midnight on the 3rd of May, 2022. Two young boys sleeping in the same room, one on the bottom bunk and one in a playpen beside it. What makes the context so heavy is what the mother shared alongside the footage. The boy's father had passed away just a few months before this was recorded. She also notes that her toddler, the one in the playpen, has an extremely limited vocabulary at this stage, barely able to say more than a word or two. Watch. Stories of young children appearing to interact with unseen loved ones have existed across cultures for generations, and some spiritual traditions hold that children are especially sensitive to experiences adults no longer perceive. The combination of the pointing, the repeated attempts to say "da-da," and the recent loss of his father led many viewers to see the clip not as frightening, but as deeply comforting. Others urge more caution. Toddlers often babble sounds that resemble familiar words, point toward ordinary objects, or fixate on areas of a room for reasons adults can't easily identify. Whether he was simply babbling into the darkness, or reaching towards someone only he believed was there, the footage has remained one of those rare paranormal clips that many viewers find more heartbreaking than frightening. The following video was recorded by a woman who had just returned home from a trip to St. Louis with her daughter Penelope. Walking in late at night, expecting a quiet house, expecting nothing unusual at all. Rocky was at work, Penelope had gone straight upstairs, and the house should have been exactly as they'd left it. But as she came downstairs for a glass of water, something immediately felt off. Watch closely.
Okay, so I just got back from St. Louis with Penelope. Rocky's at work. She's upstairs. But I've literally... Holy jeez. What's happening? What's happening? I can't go anywhere. I just got home. There's food all over the counter. I gotta clean it up. I'm brave. I'm brave. I can do this. I don't know. Oh, crap. Okay, I can do this.
What she found wasn't subtle. Cabinet doors hanging wide open in the pantry, another small cabinet door on the kitchen island sitting crooked and ajar, and crumbs scattered across the counter like something had been into the food while she was gone. She insists no one was in the house. Penelope had been upstairs the entire time, and there's no explanation she's given for how the doors got that way. Some viewers think this is a classic sign of poltergeist-type activity, disturbances that seem almost domestic in nature, not threatening on their own, but deeply unsettling because they happen in the most ordinary spaces. Others aren't convinced, but it's harder to dismiss when you look at what her neighbor captured that same period. It didn't stop there. According to her, the neighbor was so disturbed by what her Ring camera picked up that she sent the footage over herself. That alone should tell you something. Listen closely. The porch is completely empty. No person, no animal, nothing moving anywhere in the frame. And yet, the knocking just keeps going, loud and hollow, irregular enough that it doesn't feel like a pipe or a settling structure, persistent enough that the neighbor apparently didn't want to keep it to herself. On September 3rd of 2020, at just before 10 p.m., whatever was at that door never showed its face. St. Louis has long carried its own reputation for this kind of thing. The Lemp Mansion alone has been called one of the 10 most haunted places in America, and some viewers familiar with the city's history weren't surprised at all. Whether the open cabinets and the knocking are connected or just two strange nights in the same house, the question that keeps coming back is simple. What was on the other side of that door? Now, in this next clip, someone is parked outside a house they claim has been vacant for 4 years, filming from inside their vehicle at 4:30 in the morning. According to them, no one has lived there, no one has been inside, and nothing about that should have changed. But something made them stop. Watch. The most obvious explanation is squatters. An abandoned house can easily attract people looking for shelter, and someone inside turning lights on and off would account for much of what you're seeing, but that explanation raises its own questions. Why would someone be moving around an abandoned house at 4:30 in the morning with the lights repeatedly flickering, drawing attention to themselves? And if the property has really been occupied for some time, how has no one in the neighborhood noticed before now? Those who lean toward a paranormal explanation point to another possibility. In ghost lore, unexplained electrical disturbances, particularly lights switching on and off or flickering inside long abandoned buildings, are often described as one of the most commonly reported signs of alleged hauntings. Many paranormal investigators believe that if an unexplained presence exists, it may interfere with electrical systems, although there is no scientific evidence supporting that claim. Whether the flickering lights were caused by someone quietly living inside, a fault in an aging electrical system, or something far more difficult to explain, one thing is certain. For a house that was supposed to be empty, it looked remarkably alive. Now, in this next video, a man woke up to a security camera notification at 3 in the morning, footage of himself doing something he has absolutely no memory of. He'd been taking sleeping pills to manage what he assumed were bad nights, restless sleep, the kind of exhaustion that builds slowly until it becomes something harder to shake. But when he checked the notification, what he found on that camera wasn't just tossing and turning. It had happened at 3 a.m., and he'd slept straight through it without a single memory of waking up. He looks into the camera to explain all of this, calm but visibly unsettled, and then he shows you what the security footage actually caught. Watch.
I woke up to a security camera notification at 3:03 this morning of movement. It's like 5 something now. I don't know what I was doing. I thought I slept through the night. I don't remember waking up. I've been taking more of my sleeping pills recently, but I don't know if that's a side effect. Don't know why I would go down there. I'm just so tired. What do I do? Do I board the door up?
What the cameras recorded is deeply disturbing. He launches out of bed with a speed that doesn't look natural, runs through the living room in a blur of motion, and slams hard into a wall or door frame on the other side. And he remembers none of it. He closes the video exhausted, asking simply, "What do I do?" Some people in the comments immediately pointed to night terrors or a severe parasomnia episode, possibly triggered or worsened by the sleeping medication he mentioned, and that's a reasonable explanation on the surface. But others weren't so sure. The way he moves, not groggy, not slow, but fast and completely purposeful, is what unsettled a lot of viewers. Some familiar with cases of spiritual oppression believe this kind of involuntary, frantic nighttime behavior can be a sign of an external presence, something that takes control when the mind is most vulnerable and the body is left unguarded. It didn't stop there. In the follow-up clip, he explains that after this, he boarded up the basement, not just to keep whatever was down there from getting out, but, as he put it, to keep himself from getting in. Watch. If something in that basement was already influencing him while he slept, driving him out of bed, pulling him through the house, what exactly was it trying to reach? And did boarding that door actually stop anything, or just make whatever's down there angrier? You decide what to make of all of it. This next clip was recorded inside what appears to be a cluttered, dimly lit home at night, and it starts with someone pointing their phone at a security camera screen in one of the rooms. No audio, no explanation, just a person quietly filming the footage they'd already caught. Something had clearly made them want to look closer. Watch.
La cámara nos detectó movimiento. Vean, 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 vean. Mira, Ceci, sí.
¡Hala!
Pero no le veo el cuerpo.
Ajá, no.
Nada más se le ve el rostro.
Los...
Ve a la niña, ve a la niña. No le veo el cuerpo ni le veo el rostro. Y está la luz prendida, ¿eh? Aquí se quedan, voy a ir a ver.
Sí, aquí nos quedamos.
Miren, amigos. ¿Ya vieron? Sí. Voy a ir a ver. Oye, ¿escuchaste el grito?
No, mamá.
La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Ni para decir, amigos, que está todo prendido ahí abajo, pero escuche. Mis hijos no están aquí en la casa, amigos, están de vacaciones. ¿Quién anda ahí? Oiga, escuche. ¿Quién anda ahí? La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. 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 Quien sea que seas, lárgate de aquí. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Tú no perteneces aquí. Lárgate de aquí. Lárgate de aquí. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Lárgate de aquí. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder.
Right there in the center of the doorway, a pale, semi-translucent face materializes out of the darkness. Dark, hollow eyes, the suggestion of a mouth, and it just lingers there for a few seconds before fading back into the black. It's blurry, partly because this is a phone recording a screen, but if you focus on the shape before it fades, it's hard to dismiss it as a smudge or a lens artifact. After catching that on the security feed, they walk through the house, down a concrete staircase, past a cluttered living space, and eventually push into the dark doorway where the face appeared. That room turns out to be a storage area, completely dark inside. They don't find anything. Some viewers think what appeared in that doorway was a residual apparition, an impression left behind by someone who once lived there. Others aren't so sure, especially with a doll sitting in a rocking chair nearby. What do you think was standing in that doorway? This next clip was recorded by a delivery driver in the UK who was out on a late night work shift. And at 2:20 in the morning, while slowly driving along a quiet road, something caught his eye that made him stop the car entirely. He'd been making his rounds through what looked like an ordinary residential area when his headlights swept across a small playground set back from the road, bordered by a low metal fence. Nothing about the street looked unusual. No one was out, but something about that playground didn't sit right with him, and he pulled over to get a closer look. Watch. One single swing on the A-frame set is moving back and forth in a slow, steady rhythm, while every other swing on the same set hangs completely still. The surrounding grass and trees show no sign of wind. Nothing is pushing it. The detail that gets people is, at first it seems as though a childlike figure was on the swing, but when they went back to check, no one was there. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the idea that a location can hold the echo of repeated motion, especially in places where children play often. Others go straight to the more unsettling interpretation that whatever was using that swing simply couldn't be seen. Skeptics point to a consistent breeze channeled between buildings, which could explain the motion even without visible effects on nearby foliage. 3 explanations, and the footage doesn't cleanly rule out any of them. So what exactly was sitting in that swing at 2:20 in the morning? The following clips were recorded by the same woman over what appears to be a string of increasingly unsettling days at her home. A place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where something seems to have made itself comfortable. It starts simply enough. She's outside in her backyard on an overcast autumn day, walking through the dry leaves, filming a dead tree that caught her eye. Gnarled, full of dark holes, a little out of place among the others. She says she doesn't know what the metal bracket bolted to the trunk is for. She's curious, unbothered, almost cheerful. But as she crouches near the base of that tree, among the red leaves and the fallen branches, something catches her attention. Watch.
So I have a bunch of trees in my backyard, but there's this one that doesn't look like the other trees. So I'm gonna go check that one out because it has pretty red leaves or flowers next to it, and it's interesting. I'm wearing my work boots, so in case my dog runs off, I'm not chasing after her barefoot. So here's the tree. It's dead, but it's very pretty. And there's these weird things that are in it. That's for, and it has crazy holes that I like. But here's the pretty red things. Flowers. No, they're leaves. Those are leaves. Oh. I like you. What is that?
She reaches down and lifts a clean white animal skull from the leaves. Empty eye sockets, prominent canines, not decomposing, just sitting there like it had been placed. A clean skull lying at the base of a dead tree isn't automatically sinister, and she doesn't treat it that way. But for viewers who've seen what comes next in her footage, many believe it fits a pattern. Some think it's nothing more than a fox or raccoon that passed nearby. Others think the placement, at the root of a dead tree, in a yard where so much else would soon go wrong, is too deliberate to dismiss entirely. That changed everything. Back inside the house, around the same period, she captures something harder to rationalize. The dog, Luna, is already alert, running down the hallway toward a set of closed double doors. Watch.
Luna, come on.
The sleigh bells hanging from the doorknobs are shaking violently and ringing loud and fast, with nothing visible touching them. No draft, no person, nothing in contact with the doors. Luna runs straight toward them, which is the detail that gets me. Dogs typically flee from things that startle them, not charge toward them, which some viewers interpret as Luna trying to confront whatever's on the other side. The bells stop almost the instant the front door opens. That abrupt silence is almost more unsettling than the ringing itself. A few days later, with a friend or family member visiting, things escalate inside the kitchen. The two women are talking casually, one of them chatting to a cat sitting on the counter, when something interrupts the whole room. Listen closely.
Chilling here, being a kitty cat.
Did you do that?
A loud bang with no visible source, and then a bundle of what looks like dry spaghetti launches upward from behind a dining chair and arcs across the room, sending the woman in purple scrambling backward and nearly out of frame. The cat flinches. The camera operator asks, "Did you do that?" And the woman says simply, "No." Short answer, no explanation. Skeptics argue a person hidden behind the chair could have thrown it, but the trajectory, up and outward from floor level, is difficult to account for without being caught on camera. Poltergeist activity, according to those who study it, often follows this pattern: small, disruptive, physical. Objects moved or thrown, not by a ghost in the traditional sense, but by a kind of displaced energy sometimes associated with periods of high stress or emotional tension in a household. Whatever the cause, the activity isn't slowing down. Caught on her Nest security camera at 11:23 a.m., the footage shows her lying on the couch in pink pajamas when the entire room is rattled. Watch. A sharp, loud bang from somewhere off camera, silent, percussive, echoing, jolts her straight up, and she runs out of the room within seconds, disappearing through a background doorway. The camera shakes with the impact. There's no visible source, no falling object in frame, nothing displaced in the room itself. She doesn't come back on screen. What's compelling about this one is that it's a security camera. She didn't choose to film this moment. It was recorded automatically, which makes staging it considerably harder to argue. The same day or around it, Luna is standing on her hind legs at the window, visibly agitated, when the woman notices the bathroom faucet is running at full blast. She turns it off and walks back to the living room. Then, it happens again. Watch.
And water's on. She's flipping out.
Holy crap, Mom! What are you eating? Mom, really feel the purpose. I'll probably feel better.
Literally just turned back on as soon as I sat down.
I don't see the force.
Oh my god. Luna.
She's barely sat down when the water turns back on by itself, audible from a different room, and she has to go shut it off a second time. Then the doorbell rings clearly, and when she checks the window and the porch, there's nobody there. Not across the street, not on the path, not near the mailbox. Luna is already at the door before she gets there. Some viewers think this cluster of events, the faucet, the bell, the dog's fixation on unseen things, points to an intelligent presence, one that's interacting with the house rather than just haunting a specific room. Others suggest a plumbing fault for the faucet and a technical glitch for the doorbell, but the timing, back to back in the same clip, makes the mundane explanations feel strained. The last clip shifts the setting outdoors at dusk to a dirt path bordered by dark trees. Luna has already appeared in several of these clips, reacting before her owner does, and in this one that pattern reaches its most extreme point. The woman is walking Luna on the leash through what looks like an open field at the edge of the tree line when Luna stops cold, locks her gaze on something ahead in the darkness, and refuses to move. Watch.
Luna. 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 What? Go home. Luna, go home. Come on. No, 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 no. Luna, come on. Stop.
After a long, still moment of staring into the dark, Luna bolts forward with enough force to pull the leash completely out of the woman's hand and runs into the field. The woman calls her back urgently. Luna, go home. No, no. But Luna stays out in the dark, circling at a distance, occasionally stopping to look back toward the tree line as though tracking something. What dogs detect that cameras can't is the part of this footage that sits with you. Whether it's a scent, a sound outside human range, or something else entirely, Luna's behavior across all of these clips, the bells, the window, the porch, the field, follows the same shape. She knows something is there before her owner does, and whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The following video was recorded by a man who was working a delivery run late at night when his route took him past a cemetery. The kind of moment most people would shrug off, except this time it didn't let him go. He's driving an SUV, dashcam running in split screen mode showing both the road ahead and the interior of the car, and you can see him glance over at the fence line as he sits at a red light, muttering quietly about the cemetery next to him. He keeps driving, keeps his composure, tells himself it's nothing. And then something enters his car. Watch.
Doing my usual Uber eating, dropping off some food. I swear, this whole address gotta be set by the cemetery. If I see this again, I'm just not gonna accept it. So I'll tell you that. sure I'm not tripping. No. Make sure I'm not tripping. So, I'm dropping off the DoorDash. The Uber Eating. I can't even get my daggone company straight. And you're gonna see a vibration. You're gonna see tapping at the window. He's definitely gonna hear it. Hell no. Hell no. Tripping. No, I'm not tripping. Oh, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no. Okay. What the? Why? What the? No, no. Oh, hell, what the fuck? Shit. Shit, me. Shit. Hell, no. Hell. Nope. No. No. No.
There are 3 separate moments in this footage, and each one is harder to dismiss than the last. The first is the subtlest, a faint translucent shape in the back seat, there for barely a second before it's gone, and his gasp is immediate and unscripted. He pulls over near the cemetery, gets out to check the car, and that's when the second moment hits. A shoe on the discarded cardboard box moved. But the third moment is arguably the most unsettling. Back inside the car, his car didn't start, and while he was trying to figure out why, one of the doors opened itself. Some who've watched this point to the escalating nature of the encounters. Subtle entry, then external manifestation, then direct interference with the car's electronics. As behavior consistent with what some paranormal traditions describe as an attachment in transit, a presence that latches onto a person rather than a location. Others think the proximity to the cemetery is the key detail. There's a long-held belief across multiple cultures that spirits tied to burial grounds are territorial, and that passing too close, especially at night, can invite something to follow. What do you think crossed into that car? The following videos were recorded by a man who had just finished construction work on a house that had been sitting completely empty for months. But one day, the slats of the blinds push apart from the inside 3 separate times, creating a V-shaped gap. And a dark shape, consistent with fingers, briefly appears in that opening before the blinds snap back into place. No one was there. The house had been vacant, and he insists no person was inside when this was filmed. Some viewers chalked it up to air pressure or a draft catching the slats at just the right angle. Others weren't buying it, pointing out the deliberate, repeated nature of the movement. 3 times, same motion, same spot, as if whatever was on the other side of those blinds kept coming back to look out. That detail is hard to dismiss. Then, it got worse. Listen closely.
Hey! Missy? Miss? That looks fucking weird. That's weird, Jake. What the frick is going on here, brother?
A loud, sharp thump rocks the space at around the 11-second mark, and right after it, the night vision on the security camera flickers completely off before snapping back on. He stops, startled, calls out, "No answer." Then, as he moves deeper down the hall, a long groaning sound, low, drawn out, with no visible source anywhere in that empty building. Skeptics argue an unfinished structure naturally settles and shifts, especially at night when temperatures drop. But the sequencing here is what makes that harder to accept. The sounds don't drift or fade the way passive settling does. They escalate, one after another, almost like something in that house was making itself known on purpose. What would you do in this situation? The following video was recorded on a Ring security camera inside what appears to be a bedroom, a tidy, softly lit space at night. The kind of room that feels completely ordinary right up until it doesn't. According to the person who shared this footage, they were home alone, with no roommates in the house, no one expected, no one nearby. Watch.
Yeah?
At the 3-second mark, 2 sharp, firm knocks ring out. Clear, deliberate, exactly the kind of sound you'd hear if someone's knuckles connected with a wooden door. And she responds naturally, calmly calling out, "Yeah?" from somewhere off camera, as if she fully expected someone to answer. No one did. The room stays completely still. No door opens, no footsteps follow, nothing moves. That's what makes it so unsettling. A knock that deliberate doesn't happen on its own. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the idea that certain spaces replay past actions like a loop, a knock from someone who used to live there, still reaching for an answer. Others aren't convinced by that and lean towards something more active, something that knew she was home. What you're left with is a sound that had intention behind it, and a silence afterward that's harder to explain than the knock itself. The following video was recorded by a man doing what he does most nights, walking around his compound making sure everything was as he left it. At dusk, he starts filming himself on his phone, giving a casual walkthrough of the yard. A couple of sheds, some trees, nothing unusual. But as the light fades completely and he switches to a flashlight to navigate the dark, something stops him. Watch.
What the f... Sound like a twig snapping behind me.
As y'all can see, ain't nobody here, it's just me. Because people like to say I got people hiding in places. Oh, man. Whew. The chills I just got. Oh, my heart is racing. Okay, we're gonna see it through. We're gonna see it through. So I've been sitting out here now for about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not really sure at this point. Not much else has happened. Aside from the noise that I heard in front of me, the twig snapping, which could have just been a twig falling from the tree. Nothing's really gone on. So I think I'm just gonna get ready to just like wrap it up, and because I gotta get ready to go to work anyway. But oh my, holy, I don't know if the camera picked that up. That was loud as fudge. It sounded like something hitting the thing, the shed. I hope the other camera is recording. If it is, I'm gonna include that footage. That was loud. These damn animals are going crazy tonight. You can't even see me. I don't know why I turned the damn camera. You can't see me. I'm trying to do this. I heard that clear as day. I heard leave as clear as day. Nope, time to go. Okay, later.
The shed door he insists he locked earlier that night is standing open. He pushes it shut, latches it, and then, after a moment of hesitation, decides to go inside. What he finds on the shelves isn't a tool chest or garden equipment. It's dozens of Lalaloopsy dolls, all in their original packaging, lined up in neat rows like they've been carefully arranged and waiting. A child's rocking horse sits on the floor. It's the kind of discovery that doesn't make sense in a shed like this, on a property like this, at this hour. Then, while he's standing there taking it all in, he looks off to his left, and whatever he sees makes him let out a sharp, guttural yell before the camera drops and the footage cuts. You never see what he reacted to. Some viewers think the collection itself is the real story, that objects associated with children, especially dolls, have long been connected in paranormal accounts to residual energy or to something that uses familiar, comforting forms to draw people closer. Skeptics argue the whole thing reads more like a short horror film than a genuine patrol gone wrong, pointing to the neat narrative arc and the perfectly timed text overlay. But his reaction in that final moment, the pitch of that yell, the way the camera just drops, is difficult to explain away. So what do you think was standing in that shed? This next video was recorded on a home security camera overnight. No one in the house, no one in the room, just a static infrared shot of a living room sitting completely empty. Many viewers initially suggested it could be another member of the household walking through the home during the night. That's certainly one possibility, but according to the person who shared the footage, everyone in the house was asleep when the camera captured it, and no one could account for anyone walking that hallway at that hour. Others pointed toward the idea of a shadow person, one of the most commonly reported apparitions in paranormal cases. Unlike traditional ghost sightings, shadow figures are often described not as transparent spirits, but as solid, featureless silhouettes that appear briefly in peripheral spaces such as hallways, staircases, and doorways before vanishing without a trace. Interestingly, hallways themselves have long held symbolic significance in folklore. They're transitional spaces, connecting one room to another, neither destination nor origin. Across various traditions, liminal places like hallways, thresholds, and doorways have often been regarded as places where the boundary between the ordinary world and the unknown feels unusually thin. Whether that's what this camera captured or simply someone who somehow went unnoticed remains impossible to prove. But if there really was no one awake in that house, then who or what was quietly walking through the hallway while everyone slept? This next video was recorded at night inside what appears to be a home. A living room, a kitchen, a dark outdoor space glimpsed through a barred window. And from the very first frame, something already feels off. The person filming moves through the space in near total silence, sweeping a powerful light source through the rooms, the kind of light that shifts between green and red and throws everything into harsh, disorienting shadows. A child's tricycle sits near a speaker stand. Framed photos line an entertainment unit. Normal things in a space that doesn't feel normal anymore. For the first 2 minutes, there's no audio at all, just the flicker of colored lights, the unsteady movement of a handheld camera, and a slow, creeping sense that whatever has drawn this man through his own home is getting closer. Watch.
Va de retro satana, itzi, milivana, non draco, elevas, itse venena vivas. Va de retro satana. Va de retro satana. Y estoy, amigos, con ustedes. No tengan miedo. Que si yo no tengo miedo, ustedes tampoco. Lo verga, güey. No, fue mala idea decir esas mamadas. El agua. Está lloviendo. Cruz sacra sit-mi y lux, non draco sit-mi y lux, va de retro satana, nun quan suade minivana, sud mala, elevas, vitse venena vivas. Aquí fui.
The handle moves as though someone or something is trying to force its way inside. Many viewers suggested there could have been an ordinary explanation. Perhaps someone outside had mistaken the house, or strong wind was putting pressure on the door. Those possibilities can't be ruled out. Others weren't convinced. Across many folklore traditions, an unseen presence attempting to gain entry carries a particular significance. Stories from Europe, Asia, and Latin America often describe supernatural entities as remaining outside a home until they are invited in, or until someone willingly opens the door. Whether those tales are symbolic or literal depends entirely on who you ask, but they all share one common warning. Don't open the door simply because something on the other side wants your attention. That detail is what unsettled so many viewers. Whatever was outside never announced itself, and sometimes the things you never see are far more frightening than the ones you do. On another night, the man was jolted awake by a sound coming from the same part of the house. Expecting to find a window open or something that had fallen over, he grabbed his phone and started recording as he made his way into the room. What he found was far stranger. Watch. A wooden rocking chair is moving back and forth on its own. Not a slight wobble, and not the kind of movement you'd expect after someone has just stood up. It's rocking steadily, over and over again, as though someone is still sitting in it, even though the room is completely empty. He slowly scans the area, looking for anything that could explain it. Nothing. No one is there. Rocking chairs have occupied a strange place in ghost stories for generations. From old family homes to abandoned farmhouses, they're often portrayed as symbols of an unseen occupant, something present but invisible. While folklore isn't evidence, the image of an empty chair rocking by itself has become one of the most enduring motifs in paranormal accounts because it creates the unsettling impression that a space is occupied even when it appears vacant. The following video was recorded by a man named David, who has been dealing with strange, escalating activity inside his home for what appears to be a significant stretch of time, long enough that he's stopped being surprised by individual events and started trying to document a pattern. On this particular night, he woke to sounds he couldn't immediately explain, grabbed his phone, and began moving through the dark hallway with nothing but the screen's glow lighting the way. A person named Frida was asleep in a red hammock in the living room, completely undisturbed, while David made his way from room to room, checking each door. He'd said earlier that he thought it had all stopped. Watch.
Yo creo que ya se había acabado. Se empezó a mover. No hay nadie. Y ese es Frida. Que no hay nada ni nadie. Eso había detenido todo esto. No sé.
The doorknob turned on its own, slowly, deliberately, and the door swung open into darkness, with no one on the other side. The most unnerving moment came last. A disembodied female voice, close and clear, whispered his name, David, in a room he was alone in. 3 separate events in under 2 minutes is the kind of escalation that tends to shift how people think about a case, and it clearly shifted something for David too, because what comes next is a full investigation. Watch closely.
Ahí se escucha. Ya está, antes de voy a encender la luz de esto.
In the days that followed, David installed security cameras, scattered talcum powder on the floor to track movement, and started recording everything. The cameras caught a faint voice that sounds like a child saying, "I hate you, Dad," in an empty room. And on March 28th of 2026, at around 1:30 in the morning, the security footage captured a fast-moving white shape darting behind a box and appearing to vanish into a large mirror. Some viewers believe it's what David himself called La Niña, the girl, suggesting something or someone has made that mirror a point of entry or exit. Others pointed to the diorama on David's desk, a hollowed-out CRT television containing a doll styled after the figure from The Ring, and wondered whether bringing that kind of object into the home had anything to do with what's been happening. David says he's considering opening the doll and has asked for advice from anyone familiar with these situations. What's harder to dismiss is the combination: a voice that knows his name, a shape that disappears into a mirror, and footprints that haven't appeared in the powder yet. But that's exactly the kind of detail that makes you wonder what David's going to find when he checks it next time. Now, in this next clip, a man is home alone when something inside his basement begins violently demanding to be let out. For several seconds, the door to the basement shakes and rattles in its frame with a force that sounds less like a draft and more like something throwing its full weight against the wood from the other side. He's holding his phone, standing in the hallway, and you can hear it before you even see it. Loud, aggressive, rhythmic banging that doesn't stop for over 10 seconds. Watch.
What in the hell is that sound? What the hell is that? hear it now.
The door rattles like something is furious on the other side, and when he finally opens it, the basement staircase looks undisturbed. Just a few cardboard boxes sitting on the steps. But then there's a cut in the footage, and that's where things shift. A deep guttural growl fills the audio, raw and animalistic, and his breathing immediately goes ragged. When he gets the nerve to open that door a second time, the boxes have moved. Not fallen. Moved. The single box on the left has slid further down and closer to the wall, and the stack on the right has shifted position entirely. If you compare both door openings side by side, the displacement is hard to dismiss. Some viewers think whatever was banging wanted to be seen, and once it realized the camera was off, it finished what it started. Others believe the growl and the movement are two separate things sharing the same basement. He said he didn't hear it anymore once he opened the door the second time. That might be the most unsettling detail of all.